Hey friends! So today I am going to be live streaming about my workflow for for merging pull requests and things, maintaining open source. It's interesting. I find that I spend most of my time on GitHub these days doing project management related activities. So like back in the day, a couple of years ago, I was doing a lot more commits, some pull requests and issues, not much code review. Um, and then, yeah, even last, or I guess, yeah, it was 2017 that I started doing a lot more code review than 2018. I did quite a bit more, fewer issues, and now, so far this year, just, yeah, lots of code review. So, as I guess that's just what happens over time. And so in the process of making some changes in life and trying to consolidate and simplify the things that I'm working on, I'm handing off some projects that I don't really actively either use or have time to maintain. So another project like this actually is the all contributors, which since I handed this off, it's actually taken off and some really cool things have happened. So Jake Bolam has taken over. He got a logo created for it. So I don't think he made it, but made it happen. And he also created a website for it, which is pretty legit. I actually ordered some stickers for all contributors, just like 10. So I'm not going to be sending any out. I pretty much just want one for my laptop. But yeah, so just doing a lot of, he's done a lot of really awesome things. He's also working on a bot, which hopefully is like almost done. I think it's probably pretty close to done by now. Yeah, so it's super, super cool what can happen when somebody who's actually actively using the project and can commit some time to it can maintain it. So the same thing is happening with Downshift. This guy, Silvio, I think is how you say his name. But he is just awesome and has contributed a lot to Downshift, particularly with accessibility, and that's something I think is really important for the project. So I'm handing it off to him. And I guess this is probably the first sizable project that he's maintained, and has been asking me some questions about my workflow and things. I sent him to this. I'll paste that in the chat here so you can go check this out. This is a course I made on Egghead.io. It was a while back, but people are still watching it, getting some good value out of it. It's 90 minutes of how to write an open source library. It's using Mocha for tests and stuff, so you can see it's a little bit on the dated side, like code coverage stuff. Lots of these lessons wouldn't even exist. I don't use Comitizen anymore, so there's like some dated stuff, but there's definitely some stuff that's really useful from this course, which is why it's still available. And so he watched this and he's wondering, okay, so why aren't we using Comitizen, and what are some of the differences? What's your workflow for merging a pull request? So I thought I'd show him how to do that through this video. So he has a pull request open right now. He's made some file changes. I don't know why. This generated file is always changing, and I feel like it's not worth the effort to keep it because I don't know. I don't know. It's just always changing, and I pretty much never review it. So there's that. But yeah, so he's just making a couple of changes. ESLint busted because we have this underscore thing. And to be perfectly honest, I think I'd probably just disable the rule because I think this makes more sense with the underscore, but I don't really care all that much. I think it's fine. Either way, so he's just fixing ESLint problems. Now, because we're not making any actual changes that need to be released, then he has correctly marked this as a chore. And so the automation that we have set up through semantic release, which you can learn about from this course, says that your commit message determines what the version should be. And so here, because we've specified it's a chore, it will not get a release And then here's our scope, the chores for linting. And then here's just the subject that is present tense. And I don't know, you get used to it. Actually, it should be fix, but it really doesn't matter. This part goes into the change log if it does get a release. And I care quite a bit less about this than I do about this. And in fact, I often will leave off the scope because I don't typically care about that. I mostly care about that first part. And if people really want to get into the changelog and things, then they can, and I can update the changelog manually. It's not a big deal. Okay, so anyway, once I've reviewed it and I say like add my comments or whatever, I say this looks great, and I go and approve it. By the way, if this looks different, let me just show you. This is let's see, refined GitHub, which is a pretty sweet little doodad here that adds a bunch of things that GitHub should probably add one day. But one of the things it adds is it changes. Actually, you know what? I feel like I might be on an outdated version because I feel like this is actually what it looks like. Oh, you know what? I am not using refined GitHub. I am using refined. Yeah, so I forgot to load my fork. So I have a little fork of refined GitHub. Now I'm taking us on a big tangent. This always happens. The extensions, here we go. And distribution, there we go, select. So I have a little bit of a fork on here because I don't like some of the things that it does, and so I skip out on some of those things. Manifest key applications, okay, whatever. I'm sure it's fine. Okay, so then here, let me refresh this. And there we go. Okay, so this is one of the things Refined GitHub does, is it changes those that radio selection to these buttons. Okay, anyway, so if you see things that look different, that's because I'm using Refined GitHub. Okay, let's hide that. So this looks great. I'll go ahead and approve it. And I used to not use the request changes because it would do a big X and it was all red and it was like, you're the worst coder ever. Now it does not make it look so bad. So I'm using more of the request changes things. Okay, so I have a requirement and I'll show you how this is set up. I have a requirement that one reviewer must give a thumbs up. We also have a deploy to Netlify and continuous integration with Travis. Technically, we should also have CodeCove on here as well, and so I'm not sure why that's not popping up. That happens sometimes. CodeCove's bot has been really weird recently, so sometimes we'll get it failing for no apparent reason. I don't know why. It's kind of weird. But yeah, then we're all set. So here, let me show you. There are a couple things that you can do. You can create a merge commit. This is the default for many years back in the day with GitHub. It was just, that was the only thing it did. And so what it would do is it'd take all those commits and then and stick them on the history, but then have a merge commit that was, I don't even know what that did, to be honest. And even if there was only one commit, you'd get that commit and then a merge commit. And I don't even know what that is, but it was super annoying. It made your history look ugly. And it also, yeah, just, I did not like it at all. So luckily they created a rebase and merge and squash and merge. So squash and merge is what I typically use. I even disabled the merge commit from the repository, and I'll show you how that's set up. Yeah, so the squash and merge is my favorite because typically a pull request has like, I only want just, I want this whole pull request in a single merge or a single commit. And that's the commit that I want on the repo. That's like 99% of the time, that's what I want. The rebase and merge will take all of the commits of the pull request and apply one at a time on the head of the master branch or whatever branch you're merging into. So like if you have 3 commits, commit 1, commit 2, commit 3 on the top, that's basically a rebase and merge. I like that for when I am grouping a bunch of commits together into a release. Like if I'm preparing a major release and I want like 6 or 7 pull requests to go out into this new release because we're breaking a bunch of things or whatever, then I'll make a next branch. We'll make pull requests to the next branch, and then and we'll do squash and merges for those. And then when we merge that next branch into the release or into the master branch, then we'll do a rebase and merge. So we get each one of those in turn. And so then when the release happens, we get each one of those commits as part of the changelog. And it also keeps our history looking nice so we can see every change that happened. So anyway, 99% of the time we're going to squash and merge. And the cool thing about squash and merge is it allows you to change the commit message. And this is why we don't use commit-as-in anymore, because commit-as-in just added another barrier to entry for people contributing. I think I probably also have validate. No, I don't. But I have this this module that I created that would validate your commit message, and then somebody made a new one that was like a lot better. But I don't use either one now. But the commit message validator thing would just ensure that the commit message was followed the convention so that we could automate our releases. And I don't do that anymore because I can author the commit message myself right when I'm doing the squash and merge. You can't do that when you're doing the merge commit. You also can't do that when you do the rebase and merge. So if you do that, you want to make sure all the commits that are going in are following the convention so that you get the right release. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and I'll just copy this. And I like to leave so the rebase and merge will add a parentheses for the pull request because you're changing history here. I like to leave that in because I think that's nice. And then I normally don't care about the body of the commit, but there's pretty much like nothing useful in here, so I'm just going to get rid of all that. And I think we actually have a pull request or an issue about this. Here, let's get rid of that. Don't need that anymore. I thought I had an issue about this ESLint. We have a fixed TypeScript. We don't have a fixed ESLint thing, so we'll just leave that. But normally you'd say closes and then the number, but we don't need to do that this time. Okay, so then we'll do squash and merge. And what that will do is it says we can look at that commit, and what it says is that person authored and Kenzie Dodds committed. So the author still gets the credit, but the squash and merger gets the commit credit, I guess. They still show up in the contributors thing on the commit history. So there's that. Let me think. I was going to show you how I configured a couple of things. We go to branches. We set the default branch to master. I think that's pretty typical. Branch protection rules is really useful. I'm actually not sure if contributors have access to this. You might have to be a member of the PayPal org. Yeah, so if you need to change things, let me know. So define branch protection rules to disable force pushing and so on and so forth. So I only have branch protection on master because it's the only one that really matters. I can click on edit here, and I require pull request reviews before merging. I just require one. And dismiss stale pull request approvals when new commits are pushed. So I trust a lot of people with my open source stuff. I add people with to be able to contribute and like push and like add them as collaborators on the project. But because we have things automated, I don't want to just let any random person be able to push things to master and trigger an auto release. And so I have this protection here to make sure that at least one other person approves that. And so far that's worked really well. The require review from code owners, I have that disabled because I don't really like the idea of code owners anyway. We all kind of own the code. Restrict who can dismiss pull request reviews. I don't know. I don't care about that. Yeah, require status checks to pass before merging. I actually normally have that checked, so I guess I don't. But we're going to turn on the CI and Netlify. And require branches to be up to date. I don't really care because we're going to be, yeah, typically that's not going to be a big problem. But sure, I guess that's fine. It's really easy to, no, that's annoying. We'll just turn that off. Require signed commits, that would be cool, but that's a barrier to entry. Include administrators, I don't enable that because sometimes the CI is busted. Whoa, whoops. CI is busted, and but I need to like merge something anyway, or like especially in the context of the CodeCove bot, how it has been acting up a lot lately. I like to be able to, or if maybe CI is going, but it's something I know is going to pass, so I just want to merge it right now. Yeah, and I don't even know what that means, but we'll save that. And I gotta do that. No, I don't have my password for GitHub saved in Chrome. Actually, yeah, I do. I still need to move that to 1Password. Okay, so that's pretty much that. I feel like there was something else I was gonna show you, but I can't remember what it was. So, yeah, I hope that's helpful to you. Let me check out any questions that you might have about this process and things, and then we can move on. So let's see. Anthony says, so chore is a semantic versioning thing. Are there any other special prefixes to be aware of besides chore? Good question. So if we go to maintaining.md, we have the commit message convention, which drives our releases. We follow conventional changelog Angular convention. And so and actually I feel like semantic release has gotten a lot of updates recently. So let's see, convention. Let's just go to that link. Here we go. Okay, so you have these types. You have feat that will do a minor version, fix will do a patch version, docs won't do anything, style, refactor won't do anything. I'm not sure whether perf will do something. I know there was an issue open to have it do a patch release or maybe a minor, but I don't typically use that one. And test won't do anything, and chore doesn't do anything. So those are the types. The scope can be anything. Because this is AngularJS, these were the examples that they had. Lots of times I just leave off the scope entirely, because that is optional. So you could do chore linting fixes or whatever. Fix linting. So good question. Here, actually, let me link to that. Oh, whoops, that was not what I wanted to copy paste. There we go. Okay. Yeah, King Daro is like me, never liked the big X when you said request changes. It was a good thing to change. So Samira is saying we use Codacy with Circle CI at work. Super cool. I have used, actually, I don't know if I use Codacy. But several years ago, I tried a whole bunch of the code coverage tools, and CodeCove was my favorite. I liked it a lot, especially the bot that it comments on your pull request to tell you the changes and stuff. It's really nice, and I like the guy who made it, so I have been using that for a long time. Oh yeah, I've used Codacy before. I can't remember what I didn't like about it. This was years ago. But cool. If you like it, then great. Was that other thing you used called commitlint? Quite like that one. The CLI is pretty handy and totally optional. No, it wasn't commitlint, but sounds cool. Okay. When you use Prettier with a pre-commit hook, is the code already prettified when you review the PR? Yes, it is. So I use lint staged to run Prettier, and it's pretty great. Here, actually, I think, yeah, they have instructions on Prettier itself using lint stage. So this is basically sort of what I do in a roundabout way because I use KCD scripts. But yeah, it's great. I like it, and it will format it. And lots of times the contributor doesn't even know what happened. It just magically happened, and life is good. How do you disable the old merge default? Oh, yes. Thank you for remembering that. So it's right here, merge button, allow merge commits. I just disable that. That's pretty much my default for new repos, for sure. What do you think about the VS Code GitHub PR extension? I haven't used it. For For some reason, I feel like I don't trust those kinds of things. Maybe I should. Okay, what about the case when I cannot approve my own pull request? Oh no. Yeah, that's tricky. Yeah. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do about that. We're gonna go to branches. See, the biggest problem is that we don't have anyone else who's really actively reviewing and merging pull requests. So until we get that, what I'm gonna do is we'll disable that. And also I'll disable that one because if that ever were to break for some reason, I don't think you'd be able to make changes to that process anyway. I don't even know what this means. Specify people or teams allowed to push to matching branches. Required status checks will still prevent these people from merging if the checks fail. Yeah, I don't know what that means, so I guess we'll just turn that off. Cool. So now you should be able to merge your own pull requests, which is good. Okay, cool. That should be it. Oh yeah, here we go. Well, we didn't get a release, but this is what the, whoops, I accidentally downloaded that. But this is what the releases look like, totally automated. Yeah, it knows whether it's a bug fix or a feature. We've just done a lot of bug fixes recently. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much all that I'm going to share with you today. I hope this was helpful and interesting to everybody. And now I'm going to go to my AMA and identify a good question for 3 Minutes with Kent. And if you have any questions, then feel free to ask them. And yeah, you can maybe get your question answered. Okay, I'm going to jump out. I hope you have a nice day, and I will see you all next time. Yeah. Sorry, sometimes I don't know where my mouse is, and I'm like, goodbye.